जातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्वशे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Thank you for the quick transformation. We only hope it lasts. That's always the challenge. Creation is easy, destruction is also easy, maintenance is the challenge. So, for maintenance, what is required? Yes. Answer everyone knows. Anyways, but that's good. At least a good beginning is good. So we're going to the next section. Yesterday we saw the first two sections of the chapter. The first section on Karma Yoga, and we discussed renunciation in three modes. Then the next section on Gyan. So Krishna has analyzed the 5 factors of action. What are the 5 factors of action? हाँ बोलिए शुभम.
चा पृथक विधम विविधाश्च पृथक चेष्टा दैवम पंचम. So these 5 are there.
हाँ क्या है वो पांच?
So first is adhishthan, means the place where that action has to be performed, and then
that is body.
Body. Adhishthanam tatha karta. So karta is the worker or the soul doer. And karnam, instruments. So those are the senses through which we do the action or work. And prathak chesta is the endeavor before the work, the endeavor that we put. And devam, the supreme controllers, Krishna. Devam.
Right. Thank you. And then we also discussed how karma can become akarma, no reaction. How karma can become akarma? Right. So anything
by giving up ahankara
with false ego, then one has to take responsibility. What is that statement? Personal activity and responsibility arise from false ego and godlessness or a lack of Krishna consciousness. Okay. So when one does not act in false ego, then one does not have the responsibility also for the actions. That's how one is free from reactions. Okay, so we go to the next section now, 19 to 40, controlled by the 3 modes. So here the Lord is describing various things in the 3 modes. And how one can rise. How one can rise from the lower modes to at least sattva. Okay, 19. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridaiva guna bedataha prochyate guna sankhyane yathavat shrinutanyapi. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. So three things the Lord is going to describe now: Jnanam, Karma, and Karta. So here Prabhupada is writing, all the modes of material nature are binding. They are not sources of liberation. Even in the mode of goodness, one is conditioned. So therefore, one has to rise even the mode of goodness. 20. सर्वभूतेषु येनैकं भावम् अव्ययमिक्षते अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि सात्विकम्. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. Purport?
A person, a person who sees a person who sees one spirit soul in every living being, whether a demigod, human being, animal, bird, beast, aquatic, or plant, possesses knowledge in the mode of goodness. In the living entity, one spirit soul is there, although they have different bodies in terms of their previous work. As described in the seventh chapter, the manifestation of the living force in every body is due to the superior nature of the Supreme Lord. Thus, to see that one superior nature, that living force in every body, is to see in the mode of goodness. That living energy is imperishable. Although the bodies are perishable, differences are perceived in terms of the body because there are many forms of the material existence in conditional life. The living force appears to be divided. Such impersonal knowledge is an aspect of the self realization.
Okay, so the correct understanding is Sarva Bhuteshu Yenekam Bhavam Avyayam Ikshate Avibhaktam Vibhakteshu Tadjnanam Sattva. Okay, so one who sees that in all the bodies there are living entities. Sarva Bhuteshu Yena Ekam Bhavam. So in all the bodies there is a spirit soul. What is the nature of the spirit soul? Avyayam, imperishable. So this is what one sees, ikshate. So one sees that even though it appears as if there are different souls in different bodies, but ultimately they are all of the same nature. All spirit souls are of the same nature. So just like Krishna describes in the 5th chapter, Vidya Vinay Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Shevashpakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So having this proper knowledge about the spirit, soul, and the body, that is in the mode of goodness. So differences are only in terms of the body, but the spirit soul has the same nature in all the bodies. 21. पृथक्त्वेन तु यज्ञानं नानाभावान् पृथक्विदान् वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि राजसम्. That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there's a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. Purport?
The concept that the material body is the living entity and that with the destruction of the body, the consciousness is also destroyed is called knowledge in the mode of passion. According to that knowledge, bodies differ from one another because of the development of different types of consciousness. Otherwise, there is no separate soul which manifests consciousness. The body is itself the soul and there is no separate soul beyond the body. According to such knowledge, consciousness is temporary, or else there are no individual souls, but there is an all-pervading soul which is full of knowledge, and this body is a manifestation of temporary ignorance. Or beyond this body, there is no special individual or supreme soul. All such conceptions are considered products of the mode of passion.
All such conceptions are considered to be products of the mode of passion. So in the mode of passion, what happens? Speculation. The symptom of mode of passion is, we all have experienced mode of passion. Man ghumta hai na? So this is symptom of mode of passion. So when one is influenced by the mode of passion, there is a tendency for speculation. There's a tendency for speculation, concoction. Then one comes up with so many concocted ideas, theories, philosophies. So all this is due to influence of mode of passion. And so therefore, that's why Srila Prabhupada would often repeat, don't add anything, subtract anything, no concoctions, because these tendencies are very strong due to influence of the mode of passion. Therefore, in order to not speculate and simply repeat as it is requires goodness. Otherwise, tendency is there. थोड़ा स्पेकुलेट करेंगे तो क्या है, थोड़ा कुछ अलग सा बोलेंगे, थोड़ा अलग, फिर क्या है, खुद को भी मजा आएगा, दूसरों को भी मजा आए. So this tendency is there. So just like we were hearing Srila Prabhupada's class in the morning, plain simple. Everything as it is. So to speak like that requires a lot of goodness. There's no masala there. No chatpata masala. So then to hear such a class also requires goodness. And then to repeat such a class in the same way, that also requires goodness. But then when we do that, then what happens? What is the result of that? If you're able to do that without concoction, speculation, what is the result? Okay, one is goodness increases. Okay. Say that. Purification happens, yes. Yes, mercy flows through the parampara. Yes, and the right message goes across. Very important. As Srila Prabhupada often used that phrase, transparent via medium. So in electricity, you study, resistance. So if we add something, then what will happen? Resistance will increase. Then the flow of mercy will be, yes, interrupted, less. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada would often say, we are not after vox populi. Vox populi. Popular vote. We are not after that. So therefore, the more we present Krishna consciousness in this way, the more there'll be purity, the more there'll be potency, and people's hearts will be transformed. And that is what we find. So, as we were discussing yesterday also, so you can see that potency of Srila Prabhupada, so powerful. Of course, when Srila Prabhupada was personally present, that potency almost unimaginable for us now, when Srila Prabhupada was personally present on the planet. But then, now also we can see his representatives, his disciples, how they are carrying that potency. So, why? Because they had that firm faith. And they are simply repeating Srila Prabhupada's words. So, we need to have that faith. No need to concoct anything. Prabhupada in some lectures, Prabhupada says, just repeat like a parrot. No problem. Of course, we have to understand the subject matter. But then, even if we simply repeat like a parrot, there'll be potency. On the other hand, so we find that, nothing is abstract. Everything is so grossly visible. So we find the most prominent leaders of a society, most of them give quite simple classes. What to speak of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj? He was an absolute follower of Srila Prabhupada, would simply repeat Prabhupada's words and would just present that message. That's all. Yet he influenced the lives of thousands and thousands of people all over the world. Why? The purity of the message. There was nothing impressive about what he spoke from a material perspective. And similarly, we find other leaders also, like His Holiness Jayapatha Swami Maharaj. Same thing. So we have to be convinced of this point. And of course, if one has capacity to go a little more deeper and get some more details from previous Acharya's commentaries, according to one's capacity, one can do that, but not at the cost of compromising the basic message of Srila Prabhupada. That should never be compromised. That needs to be presented as it is. That is something which is important. So, even though the mode of passion is there, and one has a tendency to speak so many different things, but still one has to, as an austerity, refrain and simply learn to speak things as it is, according to one's understanding. Right. Otherwise, as so many different misconceptions, theories, Prabhupada is mentioning a few of them. No difference between soul and body, no separate soul, body is itself soul. So all these are all mental concoctions due to the mode of passion. And what happens in ignorance? Yattu kritsnavade kasmin karye saktamahetukam atatvartha vadalpam cha tattamasam udharatam. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Purport?
The knowledge of the common man is always in the mode of darkness or ignorance, because every living entity in conditional life is born into the mode of ignorance. One who does not develop knowledge through the authorities or scriptural injunctions has knowledge that is limited to the body. He is not concerned about acting in terms of the directions of scripture. For him, God is money, and knowledge means the satisfaction of bodily demands. Such knowledge has no connection with the absolute truth. It is more or less like the knowledge of the ordinary animals, the knowledge of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Such knowledge is described here as the product of the mode of darkness.
In other words, knowledge concerning the spirit soul beyond this body is called knowledge in the mode of goodness. Knowledge producing many theories and doctrines by dint of mundane logic and mental speculation is the product of the mode of passion, and knowledge concerned only with keeping the body comfortable is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Atattva arthavat alpam. So there is no knowledge of tattva. Atattva arthavat. There is no knowledge of tattva, of reality. Or it is very alpam, very meager. So basically it is knowledge of the material platform. Nothing based on scriptures. So that's what Srila Prabhupada was saying in today morning's class also. Somebody may say, oh, so many degrees, MA, PhD, so many degrees you may have. But still, what it is? Maya aparita jnana. All the knowledge has been stolen away by illusion. And so therefore, that is no real knowledge. That is no real education. As Srila Prabhupada is saying, that is not education. So what's real education?
Knowledge about matter, spirit, and control of both.
In today's class, we were hearing. So there he says, Bhaunam janmanamante jnanvan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti. So that is real education, to understand vasudeva sarvamiti. So here in the mode of ignorance, so all these so-called material knowledge, that is also all comes under the category of what?
Mixture of both, passion and ignorance.
That's okay. But then basically as Srila Prabhupada says, it's craftsmanship, this technology, Shilpakar. So all this technological education is no real education. So he says just like an electrician knows how to join this wire, that wire. So that is not education. That is just some, skill, craftsmanship, just a skill. And then to develop the skill, there are big universities, that's all. Otherwise, no real education. And Srila Prabhupada often quoted Chanakya Pandit. What is that? Yes, Matravat Paradareshu Paradraveshu Loshtravat Atmavat Sarvabhuteshu Ya Pashyati Sa Pandita. That is real education. And so therefore, unless one has that character, it's all dealing with character. So if the character is not there, if the transformation is not there, then it's no real education. So it's simply in the mode of ignorance. And so as we discussed before also, the main symptom of ignorance is not following scriptural injunctions. One who does not develop knowledge through authorities or scriptural injunctions has knowledge that is limited to the body. So this is tamasic. And so therefore, what is very important is that whatever we are studying, whatever we are doing, we have to make sure that it is in accordance to Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So therefore, if there is any doubt, what I am doing, is it authorized, bona fide, then one should immediately confirm with Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. That will save one from being influenced by Tamogun. So one should immediately confirm with the Shastras. Even in so many different practical matters, Srila Prabhupada has given instructions on practically every subject matter, whether it is preaching, deity worship, college preaching, and book distribution, cooking. So on every subject matter, Srila Prabhupada has given instructions. And so therefore, if there's any doubt, one should always consult. So that will keep one on the safe path. So everything has to be in accordance to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Yesterday we were discussing the importance of following. So if we don't follow, then we are doing under what? False ego, ahankar. Then the result of acting in false ego is what? Yes, bondage. Then one becomes responsible for what one is doing. Then there will be bondage. So therefore, that's the important point.
Definition, Prabhuji, both these things look similar in the sense, even this mental construction is not as per scriptures. So both are knowledge which are not as per scriptures. So how do we differentiate?
So at the end, Srila Prabhupada is summarizing very beautifully. Knowledge concerning the spirit soul beyond this body is called knowledge in the mode of goodness. Knowledge producing many theories and doctrines by dint of mundane logic and mental speculation is the product of the mode of passion. And knowledge concerned only with keeping the body comfortable is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So there's a difference, no? So in ignorance, as Prabhupada is saying, God is money. So it is too gross. So on the mode of passion, so all these people who are having all these bogus theories, whether it be Mayavadis or not atheists, okay, atheists also could have so many different theories, or and there could be these Shunyavadis, and so many others are there who have their own philosophies. So they have some connection with transcendence, but it's all concocted. But those who are in tamasic, in tamogon, there is no connection with transcendence at all. The only thing is body, nothing beyond the body. That is tamasic. Tantrics, that's also all bodily plan. Tamasic, yes. Yes, tamasic. Tantrics are tamasic, yes. That we saw in the previous verses. Okay, so that is knowledge in three modes. Now coming to action in three modes, 23. So you'll find similar characteristics. Niyatam sangarahitam araga dveshata kritam afala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness. Okay, read.
Regulated occupational duties is as prescribed in scripture in terms of the different orders and divisions of society. Perform without attachment or proprietary rights and therefore without any love or hatred, and perform in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme without self-satisfaction or self-gratification are called action in the mode of goodness.
So you find similar characteristics everywhere. So goodness means what? Niyatam, regulated as a matter of duty. Sangarahitam, no attachment to the fruits. Raga dveshataha. There is no rag also, there is no dvesh also. So raga means one is attached. One is attached to something because my mind likes it. And dvesha, I don't like it because my mind does not like it, because it doesn't give me sense gratification. So raga and dvesha. So one is free from both. Raga dvesha. So just like we have discussed this verse quite a few times, 2.64. What is that? 2.64? Same two, the same, it begins with the same two words. Yes. Raga dvesha vimuktestu vishayan indriyescharan atma vasher videyatma prasadam adigachati. Actually, in that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes some important statements. We will go to that purport. 2.64, second chapter, 64th verse. Here, Srila Prabhupada is writing, the Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachment and detachment. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. And if Krishna does not want, he shall not do that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. And the next statement is amazing. This consciousness is the causeless mercy of the Lord, which the devotee can achieve in spite of his being attached to the sensual platform. In spite of his being attached to the sensual platform, he can still develop this consciousness by the causeless mercy of the Lord. That means, even though one may not be totally purified, but still one could develop this consciousness to act only for the satisfaction of the Lord. So, on the platform of Vedi Sadhana Bhakti, one is still on the sensual platform, right? One has not fully controlled the senses. One has not become totally purified. But still, one can come to this platform by the causeless mercy of the Lord. So, if we are acting in ways by which we attract the mercy, then one can develop this consciousness. One is only thinking of how to satisfy Krishna. So, if one is sincerely trying in that way, then one becomes successful to act on that platform. Not so easy. Because again, by the influence of the lower modes, one is always thinking in terms of I and mine. So I'm sure most of us know that pastime of Mandakini Mataji. How many know? Only one. Huh? Ah. So, when Srila Prabhupada went to Russia and he was there for 3 days, he met this boy, Russian boy. So he met these two boys actually. So actually Shamsundar Prabhu, he was going to a bank to exchange dollars with Russian currency. And at the entrance of the bank, there was this Indian boy from Jaipur. And this boy, he was doing his business. And so he told Shamsundar Prabhu, oh, you're going to the bank to exchange dollars? Yes. So I'll give you at a higher price than the bank. So he was doing his business. So anyway, Shamsundar Prabhu began speaking with him. And as he was speaking, then this Russian boy also came. And Anthony, his name was Anthony. Huh? What's it? Anatomy. So, and then Shamsundar Prabhu thought these two boys are good candidates. And Srila Prabhupada will be happy to meet them. And so, and seeing Shamsundar Prabhu's attire, he was dressed in dhoti kurta, American in dhoti kurta in Russia. So this Russian boy was quite amazed. And so he asked him, so he wanted a pair of jeans. most probably it seems that in those days, America was famous for jeans. So, this boy asked him for jeans. So Shamsundar said, "No, I don't have. We wear this dress." And then, I think so. He asked him whether he has some records of the Beatles. So when he asked him that, then Shamsundar said, "No, I don't have any records of the Beatles, but the guru of the Beatles is here." So he was impressed with that. And that's how Shamsundar brought these two boys to Srila Prabhupada. And then the Indian boy was not very much interested. He came, he heard something. So, in those days, especially Indians were there. We know all these things, nothing new. So he left. But then this one Russian boy, and fortunately, so he was doing some masters in some linguistics. So he knew many languages. So he was very good with English. Many Russians are actually not very good in English. But this boy was very good in English because he was learning many languages. And so Srila Prabhupada began preaching to him. So this was afternoon time. Sometime in the afternoon, Shamsundar Prabhu brought these boys. And Srila Prabhupada began speaking about Krishna consciousness to this boy that afternoon. And then from afternoon till late evening, Srila Prabhupada continuously speaking to this boy. And this boy was like a sponge. He was absorbing everything. And Shamsundar Prabhu requested him to stay overnight at their place. But the boy said he has his mother and he has to go. So then he said, "Okay, I'll come back tomorrow." And so he came back the next day afternoon. And then again, same thing, from afternoon to night. And that next night, the boy didn't go home. He stayed there. And Shamsundar Prabhu, while he was, so Srila Prabhupada told him the essence of Krishna consciousness, everything. And so Shamsundar Prabhu writes in his book that this preaching of Srila Prabhupada in Russia is the epitome of Srila Prabhupada's preaching potency. Such preaching potency that in a few hours, just a few hours, can you imagine? In just a few hours, how many years it takes to make somebody serious in Krishna consciousness? But here, in just a few hours, Srila Prabhupada invested such potency in this boy. He not only embraced Krishna consciousness, but became so enthusiastic and fired up to preach. Not only he took it up, but he became enthused to preach. That was the potency of that preaching. Few hours. And by the end of that, Shamsundar Prabhu, he gave him tilak, what he had. He gave him his own initiated chanting beads. Because he knew he could get beads again from Srila Prabhupada. But he knew that Srila Prabhupada is never going to come again and never going to meet this boy again. So in one sense, he got initiated that time itself. He got initiated beads. And when Srila Prabhupada was leaving, he asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, now, if I want to preach Krishna consciousness, then it will be very conducive if I have a wife who's not a Russian. Because if Russians were no question of trying to preach. But if he has a partner who's not a Russian, then she can go out of the country sometimes. Whatever is needed, she can bring many facilities. Na? If she is also Russian, then she'll also be totally bound. And so therefore, so he was thinking about the future right at that time. He was thinking about future preaching. And so he requested that it would be nice if he has a non-Russian girl for marriage. And so when Srila Prabhupada left Moscow, on the flight itself, he was discussing with Shamsundar Prabhu who would be a good match for this boy. And it was there that Shamsundar Prabhu suggested the name of Mandakini Mataji. And that is how, when Srila Prabhupada, from Russia, he went to some other places. And then from there, he came to London after some time. And there was this Mandakini Mataji who was French, but she was serving in London. And just before Srila Prabhupada arrived there, she heard about Srila Prabhupada's amazing, historic, such bold preaching in Russia. Unheard of. Which Vaishnava Acharya has done it? And that too in communist regime. And we know how the Bhagavad Gita entered Russia. You know that, right? Huh? When Srila Prabhupada's bags were being packed to go to Moscow, somehow Paramatma inspired Malti Mataji to place one Bhagavad Gita in Prabhupada's bag. And Srila Prabhupada didn't know about it. He didn't know. But somehow Malti Mataji placed that one Bhagavad Gita in the bag. And when Srila Prabhupada landed in Moscow and the bags were going through customs, they opened the bag. And there was Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada himself says in his lecture, Prabhupada says, as soon as they saw the Bhagavad Gita, the police was called. Top police officials came. And Srila Prabhupada says, I thought, now this is the end. They will send me to some remote place like Siberia and my life is finished. Prabhupada says that. That is what he thought. But then he says, but fortunately, the police official saw the Bhagavad Gita and they said, this is harmless, no problem. No, harmless. Of course, Paramatma does everything. So they thought, no threat. They allowed the Bhagavad Gita to pass. And that one Bhagavad Gita that entered Russia became the cause for a revolution within Russia. That is the potency. And that Bhagavad Gita went to this boy, who later became Anand Shanti Prabhu. And His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj, he tells, because he came in those initial days during the KGB regime, he says how devotees were distributing Bhagavad Gita in those days, handwritten. Initially, there was not even press, handwritten. So this one Bhagavad Gita that entered, They were translating few pages and they were distributing them. That was how the Bhagavad Gita was being distributed. But Bhaktivigyan Goswami Maharaj says, just a few pages of this Bhagavad Gita, not even entire Bhagavad Gita, just a few pages of this Bhagavad Gita had such transcendental potency that by just receiving a few pages, people became inspired to chant the holy names. That was the potency of few pages of this Bhagavad Gita. And then he says, the whole thing spread like a viral epidemic. Now we have videos being circulated viral, right? But that time it was simply pages of Bhagavad Gita, handwritten pages of Bhagavad Gita, spreading like viral fever. And Maharaj says, I also became infected by this virus. So in any case, so when this Mataji heard this, she went to the deities, Shri Radha Landaneshwar, and she prayed, my dear Lord, my spiritual master is so bold, so courageous that he is preaching in Russia. And she prayed, my dear Lord, if my spiritual master ever gives me a difficult instruction, please give me the strength to say yes. That is what she prayed for. And a few days after that, Srila Prabhupada comes to London. And then one day, he calls for her. And he tells her, there is this young boy in Russia. He wants to practice Krishna consciousness. Can you go and marry him? So Mataji herself tells this pastime. So she says, Srila Prabhupada was saying so casually, as if like saying, go across the street and buy a tin of ghee. You know, what are the implications? Now, as Indians, I'm sure most of us know what goes into selecting a marriage partner. How many factors are considered? And here Srila Prabhupada was telling her to go and marry a boy in a totally foreign land, totally unknown. And if you have heard Mataji, she is French. The French can't speak fluent English either. And on top of that, Russia, where Krishna consciousness is banned practically. Religion is banned. Such a challenging situation. And she was practically in her teens at that time. But then she remembered her prayer which she made. And remembering that, she said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And then the rest is history. Such unimaginable challenges, difficulties, threats to life. What not there to go through. So, this is what Srila Prabhupada is writing here. So, a devotee in Krishna consciousness, he has no raga or dvesha. He is not attached to something, he doesn't hate something. The only criteria for him to act or not to act is what? Pleasure of Guru and Krishna. That's all. And so, because Srila Prabhupada himself was totally focused on fulfilling the instruction of his spiritual master in such a selfless way, he inspired the same selflessness within his disciples. And so, therefore, no raga dvesha. That's what is being said here. Araga dveshata. So, not that I like this, I don't like this, and one bases one's actions on one's personal likes and dislikes. So, that immediately goes into passion. When one considers personal likes and dislikes, then it goes into passion. Of course, again, not to go into extremes, one could have some personal likes and dislikes. Everyone is a different individual. One could have personal likes and dislikes in terms of food and dresses and things like that. But at the same time, when it comes to especially pleasing Guru and Krishna, then as far as possible, one definitely has to keep aside these personal likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha, and then be fixed in trying to please Guru and Krishna. So this is in the mode of goodness. So in the mode of goodness, then one acts on the platform of duty. Okay, I don't like this service, but still I'm told to do it. Let me try. That is on the platform of goodness. But as a devotee, there's one step higher. What is that? Huh? What is that? Yes. As a devotee, it is not just duty, but if I do this service, Krishna will be pleased, Guru will be pleased, Vaishnavas will be pleased. That becomes the platform. That becomes the platform. But at least on the mode of goodness. That means, theek hai, I don't like this, but still let me try. As a matter of duty. One may not be thinking about Krishna's pleasure, but still, let me try. At least on the platform of Sattva Guna. So that is the meaning of araga dveshata kritam and afala prepsuna. So not thinking about the fal. If this Mataji would have thought about the fal, she would surely not have gone. If she would have thought, Are Russia, this is going to be hell, she would have immediately said, no, sir, not possible. But she never thought about the fal. She was only thinking of how to please Srila Prabhupada. That's all. And that is the platform on which most of Srila Prabhupada's disciples acted. And that is the reason why they were empowered to do things far beyond capacity. As we all know, 3 couples who went to London. What knowledge they had? Nothing. Srila Prabhupada taught them a few things at Montreal for about 3 months or so and sent them. That's all. How much knowledge of scripture? Hardly anything. Some basics. That's all. But what they had one great treasure. What was that? Yes, faith in Srila Prabhupada's words. That was their greatest treasure. And because they had that treasure, then the miracle happened. Unprecedented miracle in the history of Vaishnavism by 3 young couples, unheard of. So, these are all important points to think about. Yes. Without any love or hatred, performed in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme, without self-satisfaction or self-gratification, are called actions in the mode of goodness. Okay. Then, action and passion. Yattu kamepsuna karma sa ahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tadrajasam udharitam. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. So passion means kama ipsuna. So passion means one is thinking about kama, what I will get. Kama ipsuna karma. Sa ahankarena. It is done with great ego. I am the doer. I'll do this. I will show to the world what great things I can do. So that is the false ego. And bahula ayasam. Great endeavor is required. So if one wants to do things on one's own, then great endeavor will be required. But if one acts for the pleasure of Krishna, one gets so much of grace. Then that grace empowers one to do. But if one is simply doing things on one's own effort, then lot of endeavor will be required. Okay. And action in the mode of ignorance. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohad arabhyate karma yattattamasamuchyate. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Purport?
Great. One has to give account of one's actions to the state or to the agents of the Supreme Lord called the Yamadutas. Irresponsible work is destructive because it destroys the regulative principles of scriptural injunction. It is often based on violence and is distressing to other living entities. Such irresponsible work is carried out in the light of one's personal experience. This is called illusion, and all such illusory work is a product of the mode of ignorance.
Yes, so in ignorance, the result of work in ignorance is what? Anubandham, future bondage. And at the same time, there is kshayam, himsa. So there's a lot of destruction, violence, and one performs the activity anapeksha. So not considering the consequences. So goodness means one always thinks about consequences. What will be the consequence of my action? Sochna chahiye. So one who is intelligent will always think about the consequences. If I do this action, what will be the consequences? If I do this action, what will be the consequences? So one should, so we know these two words, right? Reactive and responsive, proactive and reactive. So proactive means one thinks twice. If I do this, what will be consequences? So that's proactive. Reactive means jo man mein aata hai wo karo. Just do it. So that is what the materialists do. Just do it. सोचने की जरूरत नहीं. So this is like animals. वो बकरी के सामने घास डाल दिया तो कुछ ऑप्शन नहीं होता है वहां पर. So that is reactive behavior. But that is not human life, reactive behavior. One needs to be proactive. But in illusion, there's no knowledge, so there is no question of thinking. And so one doesn't take care of the consequences. And cha paurusham. One is acting as purusha, enjoyer, paurusham. So therefore, proper translates that as self-sanctioned. No need of any higher sanction, self-sanction. वही जो मन में आता है, किसने sanction दिया है? मन ने. So this is self-sanction. So all these are important for us. So when we also do something, so if we are acting under self-sanction, then what it is? Tamasic. So if we are not consulting anyone, if we are simply doing out of one's own accord, so then that is, we are being influenced by Tamogun. Uh, Mohad arabhyate karma yat tat tamasamuchyate. But then if one does not follow the principles of the scriptures, then one will have to face Yamaraj and the Yamadutas. Okay. Now, actor in three modes, worker in three modes. Mukta sango nahamvadi dhriti utsaha samanvitaha siddhya siddhyo nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. Purport?
A person in Krishna consciousness is always transcendental to the material modes of nature. He has no expectations for the result of the work entrusted to him. Because he is above false ego and pride, still he is always enthusiastic till the completion of such work. He does not worry about the distress undertaken. He is always enthusiastic. He does not care for success or failure. He is equal in both distress and happiness. Such a worker is situated in the mode of goodness.
Okay, so goodness always same characteristics are there. Anahamvadi. Anahamvadi. Ahamvadi. Ahamvadi means मैं करता हूं. So anahamvadi. So it is without that false ego that I am the doer. So this principle we find in the lives of all the acharyas. Just like in the case of Srila Prabhupada, what is he writing in the Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma? Nachao, nachao, nachao. So he is giving his life in the hands of Krishna, puppet in the hands of Krishna, that's all. So therefore there is no sense of doership, proprietorship, I am the doer, no. Rather what he's saying, you give me the words, I don't have the words, you give me the words. The same principle we find even when Shukdev Goswami is beginning to answer Parikshit Maharaj's questions. This comes in the second canto, 4th chapter. So before Shukdev Goswami begins to answer Parikshit Maharaj's questions, he offers a series of prayers. So even though on the liberated platform, scholarly person, but still Shukdev Goswami is fully depending on the mercy of the Lord for answering Parikshit Maharaj's questions. And finally he says, my dear Lord, just as you enter all the elements, please enter into my words and decorate my words. That is Shukdev Goswami's prayer. Same mood we find in the case of Rupa Goswami, as he's writing Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. The 6th verse of the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. There also Rupa Goswami says, I have no qualification. You simply make me an instrument in your hands. That's Prabhupada there in the Nectar of Devotion writes, this should be the mood of all the preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement. They should simply consider themselves as instruments in the hands of the previous acharyas. And then what to speak of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami? Absolutely no credit for himself. So, you see, this is the mode of the acharyas. Anahamvadi. There's no ego that I am the doer, I will do this great job. No. So that is mean of anahamvadi. And so therefore, he acts without false ego, And then how does he act? Dhriti, Utsaha, Siddhyo, Asiddhyo, Nirvikaraha. So because he is fully dependent on the mercy of the Lord and the Acharyas, so therefore he does the activity with great determination, Dhriti. Okay, what is the definition of enthusiasm? Nectar of instruction? Correct. Endeavor done with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Others, there are many people endeavoring with great intelligence. But in Krishna consciousness. So that is called utsaha, determination. And what is the story Prabhupada told for determination? Yes, the sparrow trying to dry up the ocean. So how much determination is required? Because 100% that endeavor is going to fail, correct? 100%. There's no doubt whether there's going to be failure or success. But still she was trying. That's determination. Just like Srila Prabhupada also. What was the possibility? Prabhupada himself says that when he was seeing America from the ship and he was thinking, now when I go and tell them these 4 principles, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling, they will say, Swamiji, please go back home. That is what he was expecting. But still, let me try. And then Prabhupada says, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, still so many people have come. So, that is determination. Determination. Utsaha. Dhriti, Utsaha, both of them related. And then, very important, Siddhyo, Asiddhyo, Nirvikara, no vikar, unchanging in success and failure. So sometimes success will come, sometimes there'll be failure, but still one needs to go on, go on. So how many of you have heard of the first Rath Yatra in London? When did it take place, first Rath Yatra in London? Any guesses? What do you know? सही बात है. पता है पूरा. Of course, Shyam Sundar Prabhu describes this elaborately in his book, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami. There he describes that how it's worth reading these pastimes. You know why? Because it'll give us at least little enthusiasm. You know, what they have done is practically unimaginable. So, that time they got this Bury Place temple in London, and it was old. They were renovating it. And but that renovating they could not do during the daytime, because it involved a lot of inconvenience and sound and this and that to the neighbors. And so, and Shyam Sundar Prabhu, he was the only one who had experience of these things, this construction of these things. Carpentry. So, whole night he would work on this renovation of the building. And then they were building this Rath cart. London is a congested city. So they could not build that. They had no place to build this huge cart in the city. So therefore, about 40, 50 kilometers away from the city, there they got some godown or something. And there he was making this Rath. So night he would work on the building and day he would work on the Rath. That's how he was working, day and night. And first time, no experience. And he was building this huge cart with huge wheels. And so it took almost a month or so, more than a month, to build this Rath cart. And then he managed to build it. And then, so now the date of the Rath Yatra was announced, pamphlets, flyers distributed. And obviously, for London people who never knew what a Rath Yatra ever looks like, this is the first time in history. So obviously, they were all very excited about it. And so they had to get the Rath cart from that faraway place to the city. Now again, they could not do it during the traffic hours because it would cause traffic jam. And so early in the morning, Shyam Sundar Prabhu, he had one old jeep, and somehow he was dragging that Rath cart, huge Rath cart with that jeep. There was no power to drag that. And so in between, he would tell people, thoda dhakka maro isko, dhakka maro. Like that, he managed to get that cart from there to the temple where the Rath Yatra was supposed to begin. And hundreds of people came because this totally new experience. Hundreds of people came to see this. And Shyam Sundar Prabhu, because of working so hard for such a long time, as soon as he brought the Rath to the temple, he collapsed. He went and slept. And so then who was left? There was Gurudas Prabhu, Mukunda Maharaj, and that Mukund Prabhu, and the three ladies. Correct? Janki, Malati, and Yamuna. These three ladies. Now they are supposed to manage the whole show now. So, okay. So at the scheduled time, obviously they'd taken permission from the police. The police had come. And at the scheduled time, the Rath Yatra began. They started pulling the ropes. And they pulled for a short distance, a few meters. Just a few meters they pulled. And these huge wheels of the Rath cart collapsed. They broke apart. And the Rath came crumbling down right in the middle of this busy London street. And so as soon as that happened, obviously big traffic jam. And the police was screaming, come on, clear this up, clear this up. And Shyam Sundar Prabhu was nowhere to be found, the maker of the Rath. And these people didn't know anything about the Rath. So now what they did was, so these three ladies, there's that cloth on top of the Rath, the cloth canopy. They tore down that cloth. They cut it into three parts. And then these three ladies, maybe they took help of others or whatever. These three ladies carried those three deities. And London people didn't understand anything because they don't know what happens. So maybe they thought maybe it happens like this only. अबे उनको तो पता ही नहीं ना क्या होता है. So that is how the first Rath Yatra took place in 1969. That time Srila Prabhupada was not present. So he told these devotees only to do it. And obviously Shyam Sundar Prabhu and these devotees were very disappointed because they could not conduct the Rath Yatra properly. And Shyam Sundar Prabhu writes a letter to Srila Prabhupada telling about this whole incident. And the reply of Srila Prabhupada is worth studying. You can find the letter in Vedavis. So Srila Prabhupada, he begins his letter with very encouraging words. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that, okay, it's all right. You tried. And then he quotes this saying, failures are stepping stones to success. And Srila Prabhupada says, you have not lost anything because at least you now learned how to do things better. You at least understood what not to do. So you at least understood what should be the size of the wheels and how much weight they can take, all that. So that's how Srila Prabhupada wrote a very encouraging letter. Finally, he said, the next time you have Rath Yatra, I'll personally come. And that's how they had the next Rath Yatra after 2 years, where Srila Prabhupada personally went. And so the point is that that's how success, failures, part of life. Success and failures are part of life. And as devotees also, we need to understand that yes, this is part of life, but we should never give up hope, never think that everything is lost, but one should continue on with great determination. So that is the symptom of sattva. In Rajagun, what happens? In Rajagun, if I don't get results, immediately there is frustration and one will give up. Just like somebody goes out on book distribution, पूरा दिन किया, कुछ नहीं हुआ, अरे बेकार सेवा है, कुछ होता नहीं. So immediately one will give up the service. That is rajasic, because one is too attached to results, fruits. Again, we can see in the life of Srila Prabhupada how many ups and downs, how many success, failures. Unimaginable. Sannyasi is giving up sannyas. Some devotees selling temples illegally. Can't imagine. Yet Srila Prabhupada went through all that, focus fixed on fulfilling the instructions of a spiritual master. So these are some important symptoms, important characteristics of one who is acting in sattva. Okay, 27. Ragi karma phala prepsu lubdo himsatmako shuchi harsha shokanvita karta rajasa parikirtitaha. The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who's greedy, always envious, impure, moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. Okay, purport.
A person is too much attached to a certain kind of work or to the result because he has too much attachment for materialism or head or hearth and home, wife and children. Such a person has no desire for higher elevation in life. He is simply concerned with the making this world and as materially comfortable as possible. He is generally very greedy, and he thinks that anything attained by him is permanent and never to be lost. Such a person is envious of others and prepared to do anything wrong for sense gratification. Therefore, such a person is unclear and he does not care whether his earning is pure or impure. He is very happy if his work is successful and very much distressed when his work is not successful. Such is the work in the mode of passion.
Right. So, Ragi Karma Phala. So, he is very much attached to Karma Phala. What will be the phal? But you can see, interestingly, in the translation, Prabhupada is writing, desiring to enjoy those fruits. Desiring to enjoy those fruits. So getting fruits is not a problem. But the important question is what? For whom? So if one is desiring fruits for Krishna, no problem. But if one is desiring fruits for oneself, then that's a problem. So as far as results are concerned, one can say, oh, Srila Prabhupada also demanded results. Double the scores and increase the preaching and all that. So yes, so there is no harm within, of course, within certain boundaries and limits. One can definitely try to get the results. But the results are for whom? For Guru and Krishna, not for me. Makes a big difference. So if one thinks, I am the doer, I have done this preaching, I made these devotees, and all these devotees are meant for my enjoyments. I don't remember if I told this incident before, but some things we can share in the Association of Devotees. This is ISKCON history. It's worth knowing. So some years back in one place, there was a preacher. So the preacher went over there, graced the preacher, and he began preaching, and he got wonderful results. Within some years, there was a nice congregation of 300, 400 serious devotees, some initiated, all that took place. And so after this preaching nicely flourished, so the facilities were a little small, as many times it happens. Small facilities initially, congregation increases, there's need for bigger facility. Okay, bona fide, not so bad. So he went to his spiritual master, his authorities, and he proposed that, so now we should have a bigger place, we'll build a new temple, we'll take land, we'll build new temple. So he gave this proposal. So his authorities told, no. So now there is some other project coming up close by, and funds will be required for that. So therefore, please wait for some time. You can do it, but please wait for some time. Hold on. So maybe made a few requests, but the authorities were of the same mood. So they didn't give that permission. Then what this devotee preacher, he thought, hey, what is this? I have done all this preaching. I made all these devotees. And how these people are not giving permission? So he got very upset. So you see, these tendencies are there within the consciousness. When they will come up, we don't know. Therefore, a devotee has to constantly work on his purification. Because these tendencies are there since time immemorial. So, obviously this preacher is a senior devotee. Spent quite a few years. But still, this is how Maya is very powerful. As we are discussing, this is what? Siddhya asiddhya. So he took it as, some sort of failure. He's not able to do it. And so he got so upset. And so he, that's how the mind works. Then the mind starts imagining things. Then the mind starts imagining, oh, this is unjust. How these people are not giving permission? When I've done so much service, they're not recognizing my service. They're so ungrateful. The mind gets into that vicious circle. One thought leads to another. I'm sure all of us have experienced, right? How the mind works. And then finally, in the course of that whole thing, so he was already planning to leave ISKCON. He was already planning. When the plan is made, then Krishna also offers some good alternatives. So, and some Radhakund Baba was waiting for some victim. So he came in touch. And then he told all his followers, now enough is enough. Come on. We leave ISKCON and go to this Baba. Baba will give you mantra straight back home, back to Godhead. So you see from where to where a person can go. This all mode of passion. Fortunately, many of those devotees, they had got some good training and good intelligence somehow. So many of them didn't leave, some left, many of them didn't leave. But anyways, it created a big disturbance in that whole preaching there. And then after some time, after some, maybe a year or so, another preacher went there. It took some time for the whole thing to revive. But the point is that this is what happens. All this is due to what? The mode of passion. Passion. One becomes so passionate for results, for success, showing to the world what I have done, what I can do. And one gets so obsessed, literally obsessed with those ideas. Anyone who obstructs those ideas, I'll finish him up. Or if I can't do that, I will leave. So these things happen. These things happen. We gave you just one example. There are sufficient examples. So therefore, a devotee always has to be what? Very alert. Very alert. Where is my consciousness going? What are my what are my motivations in what I'm doing? One always has to be focused. And therefore, and this is what happens. Why these problems happen? One of the main reasons, Gudakesh Prabhu also was telling the other day, one of the main reasons why this happens is because after a few years, once one becomes totally unaccountable for one's sadhana. Nobody is there to ask. Right? After a few years, usually nobody asks. Because obviously, you don't expect when the child is grown up, it's not that all the time parents will ask, Arey, did you eat? Did you do this? Did you do that? No. Parents understand, okay, person is supposed to take care of himself. Correct? It's understood. So therefore, after a person has grown up, then one is expected to understand things for oneself. That is obvious. At that time, the sincerity of the devotee will be tested. That time it will be tested. Even though nobody is asking, still how one is ready to remain fixed. And that is why we're discussing all these things. And we need to remind ourselves of these things again and again. Because tendency is what? To forget. So what we are speaking is nothing new. I'm sure most of you have heard everything, all these things so many times. Of course, one of the main reasons why I'm speaking is for myself. There's no doubt about that. Good reminders for myself. But then, every one of us need to remind ourselves of these things. And therefore, when there is no accountability, and then one neglects one's sadhana, one does not do the regular hearing, reminding oneself. If one does not do that regularly, then that will give a good breeding ground for Maya to creep in. And then when the intelligence is not strong, by regular reading, hearing, then Maya will take over. Then it doesn't matter how many years one has spent, because for Maya, everyone is too insignificant. So, one needs to be careful about all these things. So all these are the symptoms of Rajagun. Ragi, karma, phala, prepsu, lubdho. One becomes greedy for the results. Lubdho. Himsatmakaha. So one is ready to perform himsa, violence, envious. Proper translation is envy, because envy leads to violence. Both of them are very much related. So we know the Daksha pastime. Daksha was envious of? What did it lead to? Violence. So much of violence it led to. Finally, Daksha's had to pay a heavy price with his own head. So, that is what happens. Himsatmaka, ashuchi, unclean, cheating. So much of cheating takes place to get the results. Harsha shoka anvita, subject to joy and sorrow. Results come, व्यक्ति उछल रहा है. No results, frustration, morose, because one is too attached to results. So all these are the symptoms of a worker in passion. As Prabhupada is saying, he is generally very greedy and he thinks that anything attained by him is permanent and never to be lost. One has to understand. Everything is going to be lost, taken away. So such a person is envious of others and prepared to do anything wrong for sense gratification. Therefore, such a person is unclean. This unclean does not refer to some external uncleanliness. This refers to what? Cheating. He's ready to cheat for getting that sense gratification. And he does not care whether his earning is pure or impure. Okay, so this all happens in passion. 28. Ayukta prakrita stabdha shato neshkritiko alasaha vishadi dirgha sutri cha karta tamasa uchyate. The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, materialistic, obstinate, cheating, expert in insulting others, and who's lazy, always morose, and procrastinating is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. Purport?
In the scriptural injunctions, we find what sort of work should be performed and what sort of work should not be performed. Those who do not care for those injunctions engage in work not to be done, and such persons are generally materialistic. They work according to the modes of nature, not according to the injunctions of the scripture. Such workers are not very gentle, and generally they are always cunning and expert in insulting others. They are very lazy. Even though they have some duty, they do not do it properly, and they put it aside to be done later on. Therefore, they appear to be morose. They procrastinate. Anything which can be done in an hour, they drag on for years. Such workers are situated in the mode of ignorance.
Right. So this is tamasic. The first thing is ayuktaha. So tamogun always same characteristic. What is that? No shastra. They don't follow shastric injunctions. Ayuktaha, prakrita, materialistic, stabdha, obstinate. So he's very obstinate to get his sense gratification. And for that, shata, deceitful, cheating others. Neshkritika, Prabhupada translates that as expert in insulting others. And then alasa, lazy, vishadi, morose. So why this lazy person is always morose? That is one reason. One reason is, okay, he does not get any results because he's lazy. No, he's lazy, does not work, no results. And when there are no results, obviously he'll be morose. Another reason? Okay, they get chastisement for not working. And he becomes more lazy, okay. Okay, he doesn't think about the consequences. Okay, yes, that's also correct. He compares with others. So he keeps on comparing. Are, isko ye, isko ye, isko ye. But he doesn't do anything to get anything. So obviously he'll be morose. And he's not following scriptures. So then if he's not following scriptures, what is going to happen? Ya shastra vidam mutsrijya vartate kamakarata nasa siddhim avapna na sukham. No sukham. So somebody is not following scriptures, he's performing sinful activities. So if one is performing sinful activities, the obvious result of that is no happiness. no happiness because he's not following the scriptures. Krishna is not pleased. When Krishna is not pleased, the jiva cannot be pleased. Right. So therefore, if we want to be happy, then we need to be enthusiastic in our performance of devotional service. The more we are enthusiastic in our performance of devotional service, the more happy one will be. And therefore, we find disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who are working so hard for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, but they were so blissful, as Srila Prabhupada himself would say, bright-faced. And then other people would ask Srila Prabhupada, how are your disciples bright-faced? So I don't know if I told you this incident, but of course, that day Mataji was telling that sometimes people tell her also. But one proper disciple, he shared, he was staying in the London temple, and one man who came to meet him, so he asked him, "Sir, can I ask you a private question, personal question?" Yes. Which soap do you use? Soap, sabun. So the devotee said, no, normal soap, whatever is available. Come on. There must be something special. Which soap do you use? So he could not believe that the devotee is using the same ordinary soap which other people use. So the point is, Srila Prabhupada writes this also in third canto, in this Kardamuni and Devuti pastime. There also he mentions this point. So the important point is, the more one is Krishna conscious, the more one is satisfying Guru and Krishna by enthusiastically performing devotional service, the more one will be happy. The more one is not following scripture, lazy in performing one's duties, one will be frustrated and morose. So therefore, see, ultimately who is the gainer or the loser? Oneself only. So therefore, it is good to be enthusiastic in the practice of devotional service, following the injunctions of the scriptures. More we do that, the more one can be happy. Okay? Morose. Procrastinating. We're talking. Dirgha Sutri. Prabhupada is saying, what can be done in 1 hour? Drag on for many years. Therefore, there is this saying, even in the outside world, that if you want to get a work done, find out who is most busy. Somebody says, "Arey, this is illogical. If the man is already busy, how can you give him one more work?" But what's the point? Huh? So yes, so somebody who is busy, then he knows how to utilize his time and he will find time to do one more work also. But if you tell a lazy person, even if he has all the time in the world, what he will say? No time. So that's what happens. So these are the symptoms of ignorance. So in this way, the Lord has described what? So far, what he has described? 3 things he has described. What? Jnanam, karma, and karta. Knowledge in 3 modes, action in 3 modes, and worker in 3 modes. Okay, so now he's going to describe understanding, determination, and happiness in the 3 modes. Okay, so we'll take a break and continue. Hare Krishna. Buddhir-bhedam ditesheva gunatastrividham shrinu prochamanam asheshena prataktvena dhananjaya. O winner wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to three modes of material nature. So now first is what? Buddhi. Buddhi in three modes. 30. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham moksham cha ya vetti buddhi sa partha satviki. O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done, what ought not to be done, what is to be feared, what is not to be feared, what is binding, what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. Okay, so this is buddhi in the mode of goodness. Basically, good discrimination. So one who's acting in goodness, he has good discrimination. Pravrittim, nivrittim, karya, akarya, bandham, moksham, bhaya, abhaya. So discrimination. What is to be done, what is not to be done, what is to be feared, what is not to be feared. So one has good discrimination. So how one develops this discrimination? Yes, study of the scriptures, practice of devotional service, leading to good realization, discrimination. So, just like the example of Ajamil is there. So Ajamil, definitely he was a Brahmana, he studied the scriptures, but still, when he saw that scene, then he lost his power of discrimination. And therefore, he could not discriminate what is right, what is wrong. Similarly, Bharat Maharaj, even though so elevated, he lost a sense of discrimination. So when one loses the sense of discrimination, okay, too much attached to sense gratification, angry, in the time of confusion, okay. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhrama, right. So what is the root cause? Dhyaito vishyan pumsa. Contemplation of the sense objects. The influence of rajas and tamas. That is the root cause. So when the influence of rajas and tamas increases, then sattva goes to the side. And then as soon as rajas and tamas increases, then one cannot discriminate because sattvat sanjayate jnana. So that is what happens when kama increases. So those same verses, dhyaito vishyan pumsa sangas tesho bijayate sanga sanjayate kama kama krodho bijayate. So all this is increase in rajas and tamas. So when there's increase in rajas and tamas, then one cannot discriminate. So, and rajas and tamas increases when one is attached to one's own sense gratification. So throughout the Shastras, this is what we see. Indra, he didn't get his sacrificial offerings, his sense gratification. Immediately what happened? Krodha. Then when the Krodha came, he could not understand. This is Krishna, my master. Couldn't understand. Thought of destroying all the Brajvasis. Another example, Jambavan. Which pastime? Shamantak jewel. Again, his own master. He faithfully served Lord Ram. That same Ram was there in the form of Krishna. He could not recognize because of his attachment to his child and the Shamantak jewel. So he was ready to fight. Huh? Dvivida. Yes, Dvivida also. So you find because of that attachment, so as soon as there's attachment, Sanga is symptom of Rajas. Sanga and Trishna, two symptoms of Rajas. So as soon as there's attachment, just the same example, we were giving out that devotee wanted to construct a temple for his own glory or whatever. So the Sanga is there, attachment. I want to do this. I want. Same thing with Bharat Maharaj. Sanga, attachment to the deer. My deer, I save the deer. So attachment. Then when the attachment develops, Rajas rises. Rajas, Tamas rises. When Rajas and Tamas rise, covered. One fails to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. So therefore, due to whatever reason, when one feels oneself confused, bewildered as to what is right, what is wrong, what is to be done, what is not to be done, what should one do? Yes. Don't take decisions on one's own. Immediately consult. Because in such a situation, if one takes decisions, one is bound to go wrong, however elevated one may be. Similarly, we find Indra disrespected Brihaspati, then he lost everything. And then later on, he was told to perform sacrifice with Vishwarup as the priest. Then there again, he saw that Vishwarup was secretly offering. Of course, Brahma had already warned him. It's not that Brahma had already warned him. See, he's going to do something like this. But don't get agitated. Warning was already given. But his attachment was so strong. Didn't care. तुरंत तलवार निकाला, सर काट दी. No discrimination. So all these things happen sometimes, even as devotees. So therefore, one has to be careful to always try to maintain the sattva. And as we already said in 14.10, therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes, two things are required to maintain the sattva. What is that? Yes, determination and practice. Determination and practice. So we should always try to practice being in sattva. Practice being in sattva. So even though sometimes modes shake us, rajas, tamas, sometimes they shake us, but still with one's good use of intelligence, one should try to remain in sattva. And then one should take help of other devotees and try to remain on the sattvic platform. The more we try to do that, the more the sattva will increase. Yes, as Prabhupada says, understanding which discriminates by intelligence is situated in the mode of goodness. 31. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyameva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhi sa partha rajasi. O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done, action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. So in the mode of passion, one cannot discriminate. What is dharma? Adharma. Ya dharmam, adharmam. Karyam, akaryam. Same thing you see from the previous verse. Same things. But here, in the previous verse, in goodness, he can discriminate. Here, he cannot discriminate between these things. So that is what happens in Rajogun. Then 32. Adharmam dharmamiti ya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhi sa partha tamasi. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion, religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion, darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction of Partha is in the mode of ignorance. So ये उल्टा चलता है, उल्टा. What is dharma is adharma, and what is adharma is dharma. Okay, read the purport.
Intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance.
So you find such people in Tamogun. So who is Krishna for them? वो साधारण व्यक्ति है. And then some Baba, oh, he's God. Because he produces little gold and ash. So there's उल्टा चलता है उनका, दिमाग उल्टा चलता है. So this is tamogun. So this is buddhi in the three modes. Now determination in three modes. Dritya yaya dharayate mana pranendriya kriyaha yogena vyabhicharinya dhriti sa partha satviki. O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, determination in the mode of goodness. Okay, so here this is Dritya Yaya Dharayate. So in goodness, the determination is steadfast, sustainable. Aisa nahi ki 2 din. So not that one's determination is short-lived. Few days one does something, then lost. So just like sometimes some devotees take some determination, some resolution. कल से रोज 25 माला करूंगा या 32 माला करूंगा. 2 दिन के लिए चलता है, फिर तीसरा दिन. So not that type of determination. So it has to continue, steadfast. So that is in goodness. And it has to be what? Avyabhicharinya, without any break. And by this determination, then one is able to control the prana, mana, prana, indriya, kriyaha. So when one is in sattva, then one is able to control all this. So even though the mind is telling 100 other things, mind, indriyas, they are saying so many other things. Do like this, do like that, so many things they are saying. But still, one is in sattva gun, he is ready to control. And he is able to carry on his activities with determination. As Prabhupada says, the word avyabhicharinya is very significant, for it indicates that persons who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are never deviated by any other activity. 34. Yaya tu dharma kamarthan dritya dharayate arjuna prasangena falakangshi dhriti sa partha rajasi. But that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results. So here also there is determination. Determination is there in both places. But what is this determination? Falakangshi. For the results. Very determined to get the results. Fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion. So they also require determination. Prabhupada gives example, materialistic persons, how much determination they require every day, go in the morning, catch those local trains, hang at the door for 2 hours and reach the place and then work throughout the day, come back home. Requires so much of determination, not easy. But they're determined for what? Sense gratification, paisa. So for the paisa, they are ready to work so hard. So that's also determination, but it is in passion. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madameva cha na vimunchati durmedha dhriti sa partha tamasi. And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion. Such unintelligent determination, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of darkness. Purport.
That a person in the mode of goodness does not dream. Here, dream means too much sleep. Dreaming is always present, either in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Dreaming is a natural occurrence. But those who cannot avoid oversleeping, who cannot avoid the pride of enjoying material objects, who are always dreaming of lording it over the material world, and whose life, mind, and senses are thus engaged, are considered to have determination in the mode of ignorance.
Okay, so they are determined to sleep. It requires determination. No? To sleep also requires determination. So, determination, yaya, swapnam, bhayam, shokam. So, all these are symptoms of tamogun. And so, as Prabhupada says, determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, daydreaming. Daydreaming. So, you know that story Prabhupada told of the potter, the man who was going to sell pots. So they're determined to remain in their dreams only and not do anything about it. At least the passionate person works to get the result. But those who are in tamogun, their determination is to get results only in dreams. That is their determination. वो स्वप्न में ही सब रिजल्ट्स देखते रहते हैं. ये आएगा, ऐसा करूंगा, वैसा करूंगा, ये होगा, वो होगा. वो पूरा दिन उसी में जाता है. दैट इज देयर डिटर्मिनेशन. कुछ होता नहीं, दिन भर ऐसा ही चलता है. सो दिस इज दुर्मेधा, unintelligent determination. So this is determination in three modes. Now happiness in three modes. Sukham tuvaidanim trividam shrino me bharatarshava abhyasad ramate yatra dukhantam chanigachati. O best of Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which she sometimes comes to the end of all distress. Here Prabhupada writes an important point. But sometimes in the course of such enjoyment, material enjoyment, chewing the chewed, he becomes relieved from material entanglement by association with the great soul. In other words, the conditioned soul is always engaged in some type of sense gratification, but when he understands by good association, that's only a repetition of the same thing, and is awakened to his real Krishna consciousness, is sometimes relieved from such repetitive, so-called happiness. So what is material happiness? Repetitive, so-called happiness. Chewing the chewed. So what story Srila Prabhupada told in this regard? Same happiness is there, but still one wants to try and enjoy again. Huh? No, liquid beauty, of course, it shows that there's no material happiness, but one wants to enjoy the same happiness. Huh? एक जन बोलो. Okay, that is correct. Nightclub, Prabhupada gives this example. Nightclub, same happiness with his wife also, but still he goes to nightclub. But story. The same principle, story. हाँ हाँ हाँ. कौन? Yes, Laksha Hira. Everyone knows, no? Story of Laksha Hira. The prostitute who charged 1 lakh hira. And so there was this poor man, beggar. He wanted to enjoy. अरे कुछ नहीं है उसके पास. But still is very unhappy. So wife is very chaste. So wife asks, I'm serving you so nicely every day. So Prabhupada describes that how, I think so he also had leprosy, and then the wife would carry him in a basket, and then they would beg and all that. And so wife says, I'm serving you so nicely, still you're so morose. What is the problem? Oh, I want to enjoy with this Lakshahira. So then what happens? Yes. So then she goes and she starts serving that Lakshahira, and then she is pleased and she says, what do you want? Okay, my husband wants to enjoy. Okay, call him. Then क्या होता है फिर? बोलो, एक जन बोलो. हाँ. No, she didn't say that. She did something. Yes. So when the man goes to that Lakshahira's house, so she served a nice feast, but all the items were in two types of containers. One, gold, another, iron. You're making it more modern, huh? Steel. No, we have to repeat as it is. So the man says, why two? Why cheese? So then she says, so same thing, you have such a chaste wife. Why you want to enjoy another woman? It is the same thing. So that is the meaning of Puna Punascharvita Charvananam. Same thing again and again. There is nothing new. It is the same thing, nothing new. But still the mind imagines, कुछ तो मिलेगा, कुछ तो मिलेगा. No, कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. वही है. That same sense enjoyment we have enjoyed since when? In so many different bodies. Pashu, Pakshi, Kutta, Billi, so many species of life, we have enjoyed the same thing. And there is no difference. But still one thing, kuch to naya hai, kuch to nothing new. So that is what Prabhupada is writing. Repetitive so-called happiness. But the power of Maya is so strong. Maya convinces the jiva, kuch to naya milega. That is the power of Maya. Shruti Sukha, Manasijam, Prahlad Maharaj says, no, what it is? Manasijam. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. The mind imagines. Whole big imagination. So just like His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj, even now I can remember that. So many years back, Maharaj had told. So he was describing, and those of you have at least heard or seen Maharaj's video lectures. Maharaj is very expressive. He has very special facial expressions. So he was describing when the man wants to get married, then he imagines that, so when the marriage will take place, it will be so wonderful. Flowers will be showered from heavens. And everything will be so wonderful, so blissful. And life will be happy ever after. That's what one thinks, right? If one does not think, how will get married? That's what he thinks. That's why he gets married. So, that is all what? Manasijam. Mind imagines. And I'm sure many of you have heard that incident of the devotees in Italy after the Harinam Sankirtan. They went to take bath in the ocean. How many have heard this? Only two, huh? Maybe others heard, don't remember maybe. You want to tell? Give them the mic. Manasijam. Mind imagines, concocts so many things.
Maharaj tells in that lecture, Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that many of them, first he explains that how the condition of Italy was so hot that time. And then finally they were going on Harinam in the evening and they thought that it is so hot. And they arrived at a particular place where there was beach and they thought that now in the evening we will take bath in the beach. And it was very nicely described as cool and bluish waters and nice waves
Cool
coming.
breezes.
Cool breezes. And
हाँ.
after that, they had a plan of taking prasadam and everything also.
अरे प्रसादम, अरे उसके पहले क्या हो गया?
So they had a plan of that. So they were thinking that we will take nice refreshing bath now. So they all changed into gamchas and they went inside. And for a few seconds, they all were in ecstasy kind of. They were having very nice enjoyment. Then Maharaj started telling that suddenly he heard shouting voices of devotees. And then he was shocked why devotees are shouting. And then he himself experienced some sting on his leg. Then he realized that there are jellyfishes in the entire water who are stinging each other. And then devotees started coming out.
So yes, so they imagined that it'll be such a pleasant experience in the ocean after the long Harinam in the hot sun. So they thought that the bath in the ocean will be refreshingly cool. And so they thought like that. And it was for a few seconds or minutes. But very soon, all their happiness came to an end with the jellyfish stinging. And so some continued for some time, some came out. And when they came out, they were all very hungry. They were expecting prasadam. Then what happened? What happened?
That part I do not remember. He was telling that there was pain in many people's legs.
No, that pain was okay, but now there was pain of hunger. So they were expecting prasadam. And so they were on an island, then gone to an island, and the prasadam was to be served there. And so they came out of the water, the bathing. So there was one frustrating experience. Now they were expecting nice big feast, but then the organizer took the mic and he announced, "We are very sorry to announce that we forgot the prasadam on the beach." So which meant that, so now they were in an island in the middle of the ocean. So that meant that they had to go back to the beach and then collect the prasadam from the city, which would all take about 1 to 2 hours. So quite a frustrating experience. So the point is what? The point is that happiness in the material world is mostly what? Manasijam. It's all mostly in the mind. And the mind imagines so many things. So therefore, Therefore, the Shastra makes things very clear. Everything crystal clear. You enter into Grahasthashram, you get married, what will be the results, what will be the graphic experience. Everyone knows, right? Fifth canto, Forest of Material Enjoyment. Graphic description, everything crystal clear. The Shastra makes everything very clear. No ambiguity. Everything is clarified. Right? So therefore, one should not become a victim of the mind's imaginations. Then that will be all swapna in Tamogun. Okay, 37. Yattad agre vishamiva pariname amrutopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. Purport.
Pursuit of self-realization, one has to follow many rules and regulations to control the mind and the senses, and to concentrate the mind on the self. All these procedures are very difficult, bitter like poison. But if one is successful in following the regulation and come to the transcendental position, he begins to drink real nectar and he enjoys life.
Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhyet yaspat Brahma Saukyam tu Anantam. So if one goes through the tapasya, that is like Visham, Yad Tad Agre Vishamiva. So the tapasya is like vish, poison. But Pariname, Amrit. What is that Amrit? Brahma Saukyam tu Anantam. Then one can experience unending happiness. So one has to go through the tapasya of following the various rules and regulations of spiritual life, then one can experience the Amrit. That is the price one has to pay. I think so. We discussed this point before. Therefore, first there is Nishtha, then there is Ruchi. So the Nishtha is what? Steady practice. That is the Nishtha. Whether one likes it or not, on the Sattvic platform, Sattvagun. So, as we already discussed, as a matter of duty, that is Sattvagun, duty. I like it or I don't like it, but I do it. So that is the price one needs to pay. That is the tapasya. That is the tapasya one has to go through. So if one goes through that tapasya, then Krishna will award what? Ruchi. Then one will get the higher taste. Then everything becomes easy, correct? अभी समस्या क्या है? अभी टेस्ट नहीं है, फिर भी करना पड़ता है. वही समस्या है ना. अगर टेस्ट होता तो फिर बहुत आसान है ना. But now that is the problem. There is no taste, but still one has to do. That is the tapasya. So Krishna doesn't give the taste so easily. One has to go through that tapasya. करो, taste नहीं है, फिर भी करो. Every day. Then when Krishna is pleased, he'll give. So one can't expect things other way around. Sometimes devotees say, अरे अभी कुछ taste नहीं है, कैसे करूं? No, that is the price one has to pay. Okay, 38. Vishayendriya sanyogad yattad agre amritopamam pariname vishamiva tat sukham rajasam smritam. That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion. So sense gratification in the beginning appears to be very enjoyable, like Amrit. But at the end, Parinama Visha. What is similar verse in the fifth chapter? Yes, yahi samsparshaja boga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya na teshu. Okay, 39. Yadagre chanubande cha sukham mohanam nidra lasya pramadottam tattamasam mudharitam. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from the beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion is said to be of the nature of ignorance. Purport.
One who takes pleasure in laziness and in sleep is certainly in the mode of darkness, ignorance. And one who has no idea how to act and how not to act is also in the mode of ignorance. For the person in the mode of ignorance, everything is illusion. There is no happiness either in the beginning or at the end. For the person in the mode of fashion, there might be some kind of ephemeral happiness in the beginning and at the end distress. But for the person in the mode of ignorance, there is only distress both in the beginning and at the end.
Okay, so this happiness is what? Nidra alasya pramad. So we discussed this point before, I think, no? So the one on Tamogun, what is the success? So he thinks the more I have successfully slept, my life is successful. So if one has successfully avoided work and slept more, success. आज बहुत कम काम किया, first class सोया. That is success. For whom? For one in Tamogun. So, but actually what he gets is only distress. There's no happiness in that. It's all imagination. Just like the hog. The hog also imagines, I'm very happy. But it's all in Tamogun. 40. न तद अस्ति पृथिव्यां वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्वं प्रकृतिजैर्मुक्तं यदेवि स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the high planetary systems which is freed from these three modes born of material nature. No one is free. In the entire universe, no one is free. The only person who's free is who? Krishna, Narayan. Only Narayan is free from the influence. No one else. Okay. So now we have finished. Of course, the entire section is not over, but he finishes describing these various things in the three modes, and now he is describing the activities in three modes. So, just one second. Okay, we discussed these points. Fine. Okay. Yes, this is the next section. 41 to 48. So, how by performing prescribed duties one can perform karma yoga. So, this is what now Krishna is describing. So, now why is describing this?
Because Lord has said that no one is free from these things. Now, how do we get out of this? If this, then
yes, that's the connection. Good. So, no one is free from influence of three modes. Yet, what are we supposed to do? Get free from the influence of modes. That is the goal of human life, to get free. So then how is that going to be possible? So therefore, the Lord has designed a system by which, while working under the influence of the modes, one can get free from the modes. So this is called what? Removing a thorn with a thorn. Kantakam kantakenaiva. So one thorn is what? The modes. The influence of modes is like one thorn. Taklif hai na? तीन गुणों के प्रभाव से तकलीफ है. So then one has to remove it with another thorn. What is that other thorn? The other thorn is performing prescribed duties under the influence of the modes. That is also another thorn, because that is also going to be troublesome only. And that is basically what? The Varnashram duties. So the Varnashram duties, the Varnashram system, as we already studied in the 4th chapter, Chaturvanyam Maya Shishtam, Guna Karma Vibhakasha. So Maya Shishtam, Krishna only has designed this Varnashram system. Why? So that, because immediately one cannot become free from the influence of the modes. Correct? Since time immemorial, the jivas are under the influence of modes. So immediately if we tell them, "Arey, get free from the modes," अरे कैसे संभव है? संभव ही नहीं है. So therefore Krishna has designed a system by which one performs duties in accordance to the modes, but because those duties have been designed by Krishna himself, therefore by performing those duties, one will gradually get liberated from the modes. So therefore, another example is sometimes given. So it is just like in a circus. So in a circus, sometimes you find this show, no? The man is walking on a rope hanging in the air. Very risky, isn't it? He's walking on a tight rope, which is in the air. गिर जाएगा तो क्या होगा? हाँ, सब हड्डी टूट जाएंगी. So therefore, it's a risky job. Therefore, they place a net below, just in case he falls. Just in case he falls, okay, ठीक है. There's some relief. हाँ, हड्डी नहीं टूटेगी. ठीक है, कुछ तो दर्द तो होगा. हाँ, लेकिन एटलीस्ट हड्डी नहीं टूटे. So this Varnashram system is like that. So the Varnashram system, so the person walking on the tightrope is like what? So the person is aiming for liberation. That is the ultimate aim. The ultimate aim is to get liberated from this material world. It's not an easy path, difficult path to get liberated from this material world. Deveshu Gunamai Mammaya Durate are not so easy. And so therefore, as he's going on this path, there may be some difficulties, challenges to achieve liberation. So therefore, the net is like the Varnashram system. ठीक है, no problem. You perform duties according to your propensities, according to the influence of the modes, and still go on the path of liberation. That is a Varnashram system. And so therefore, that's what Krishna is describing now. So he's describing the qualities and duties of the various Varnas. Of course, everything in the Bhagavad Gita is in summary form. Okay, so if you want more details, then you go to Bhagavatam. But in brief, Krishna is describing. But Prabhupada did quote this verse very often. Okay, the next verse. Here, Krishna is just saying, Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Shudranam Cha Parantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Swabhava Prabhaver Gunai. Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of the enemy. Okay, so these are qualities born of their own nature, Swabhava. So this is Swabhava. So Swabhava is What? According to the influence of the modes. Everyone has a different swabhava. Okay, 42. Shamo damastapa shaucham shanti rajavameva cha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavajam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. This is what their swabhava. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So why they have these qualities? Okay, previous, but but why? Yes, because of sattva. Because of the influence of sattva, therefore they have these qualities. These are the symptoms of one who is in sattva. So if somebody is in sattva, then naturally he'll have these qualities. And therefore, he is qualified to be a brahmana because he has the qualities. So that is what it is based on guna, karma. Both are required. So because he has the gunas are due to sattva, therefore he has the guna, therefore he is a brahmana. So it is not based on birth. So Prabhupada, he says, just like somebody is wearing Brahman thread, is pulling tela. What is this? How can he be Brahmana? No, both have to be there. Guna also has to be there. Karma also has to be there. Then you call him Brahmana. Okay. 43. Shauryam tejo dhritir yuddhe chapya palayanam danam ishvara bhavasya kshatram karma swabhavajam. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, leadership are the natural qualities. So you see the same point is being repeated. Natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. So naturally they have these qualities. Then you call him a Kshatriya. You want more details, go to the Bhagavatam, 7th canto. Narad Muni is describing in details to Yudhishthira Maharaj. You can read that. Or you join Bhakti Vedanta. 44. Krishi Gorakshavanejam Vaishyakarma Swabhavajam Paricharyatmakam Karma Shudrasyapi Swabhavajam. Farming, cow protection, business are the natural work for the Vaishyas. And for the Shudras, there are labor and service to others. So now, okay, according to the influence of three modes, different people have different propensities, different qualities, and therefore different work. But then how does that help one get liberation and attain perfection, siddhim? That's what he says in the next verse. Sve sve karmanya bhirataha samsiddhim labate naraha swakarma nirata siddhim yatha vindati tachrinu. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. He doesn't have to do something differently. He has to follow his own qualities. Sve sve karmani abhirata. He has to follow his qualities, his karma. But by doing so, swakarma nirata siddhim. By doing his swakarma, his own karma, he can still achieve siddhim, perfection. How is that? 46. Yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tadam swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindanti manavaha. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. So the significant point is what? Swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindanti manav. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha. So here Krishna is referring to the super soul or Narayan. Narayan usually does activities in relation to the material world, accepting offerings, all that. Narayan does. Krishna has no business with the material world. So therefore, Krishna is referring to the super soul. Super soul acts in the material world. So swakarmana tam abhyarcha. You do your own karma, but offer the fruits to the Supreme Lord. That is how one can achieve siddhim. That is how one can achieve perfection. And that's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. One should therefore know, as part and parcel of Supreme Lord, one has his duty to render service unto the Supreme. Everyone should be engaged in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness. Of course, Prabhupada brings it directly to the Bhakti platform. But basically, this is what is called as Karma Yoga. Okay, so one performs one's karma, but at the same time detached from the fruits. Okay, so this is what is basically called Karma Yoga. So that is what is being said over here. So perform the prescribed duties, but offer the fruits to the Supreme. And that is how one performs Karma Yoga. And that's how one gradually gets purified and one goes ahead on the path of liberation. That is what is being described. 47. Shreyan swadharma vigunaha paradharmat swanishtitat swabhavaniyatam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham. It is better to engage in one's own occupation even though one may perform it imperfectly than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. This is one verse which Krishna has repeated twice. Where? Yes, third chapter also Krishna has repeated. So it's an important verse. Please read the purport.
One's occupational duty is prescribed in Bhagavad Gita. As already discussed in previous verses, the duties of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra are prescribed according to their particular modes of nature. One should not imitate another's duty. A man who is by nature attracted to the kind of work done by Sudras should not artificially claim to be a Brahmana, although he may have been born into a Brahmana family. In this way, one should work according to his own nature. No work is abominable if performed in the service of the Supreme Lord. The occupational duty of a Brahmana is certainly in the mode of goodness, but if a person is not by nature in the mode of goodness, he should not imitate the occupational duty of a Brahmana. For a Kshatriya or administrator, there are so many abominable things. A Kshatriya has to be violent to kill his enemies, and sometimes a Kshatriya has to tell lies for the sake of diplomacy. Such violence and duplicity accompany political affairs, but a Kshatriya is not supposed to give up his occupational duty and try to perform the duties of a Brahmana. One should act to satisfy the Supreme Lord. For example, Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was hesitating to fight the other party. But if such fighting is performed for the sake of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there need be no fear of degradation. In the business field, also sometimes a merchant has to tell so many lies to make profit. If he does not do so, there can be no profit. Sometimes a merchant says, "Oh, my dear customer, for you I am making no profit." But one should know that without the profit, merchant cannot exist. Therefore, it should be taken as a simple lie if a merchant say that he is not making a profit, but the merchant should not think that because he is engaged in an occupation in which telling of lies is compulsory, he should give up his profession and pursue the profession of a Brahmana. That is not recommended. Whether one is Kshatriya, a Vaishya, or a Shudra, doesn't matter if he serves by his work the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Brahmanas who perform different types of sacrifice sometimes must kills animal because sometimes animals are sacrificed in such ceremonies. Similarly, if a Kshatriya engaged in his own occupation kills an enemy, there is no sin incurred. In the third chapter, these matters have been clearly and elaborately explained. Every man should work for the purpose of yajna or for Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anything done for personal sense gratification is a cause of bondage. The conclusion is that everyone should be engaged according to particular modes of nature he has acquired, and he should not decide to work. He should decide to work only to serve the supreme cause of the Supreme Lord.
Okay, so now in the next verse, he gives an example to explain this point. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadosham api na tyajed sarvaramba hi doshena dhumena agnirivavritaha. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Okay, read this purport. Similar points are there, but in any case.
In conditioned life, all work is contaminated by the material modes of nature. Even if one is a Brahmana, he has to perform sacrifices in which animal killing is necessary. Similarly, a Kshatriya, however pious he may be, has to fight enemies. He cannot avoid it. Similarly, a merchant, however pious he may be, must sometimes hide his profit to stay in business, or he may sometimes have to do business on the black market. These things are necessary. One cannot avoid them. Similarly, even though a man is a Shudra serving a bad master, he has to carry out the order of the master, even though it should not be done. Despite these flaws, one should continue to carry out his prescribed duties, for they are born out of his own nature. A very nice example is given here. Although fire is pure, still there is smoke. Yet smoke does not make the fire impure. Even though there is smoke in the fire, fire is still considered to be the purest of all elements. If one prefers to give up the work of a Kshatriya and take up the occupation of a Brahmana, he is not assured that in the occupation of Brahmana there are no unpleasant duties. One may then conclude that in the material world, no one can be completely free from the contamination of material nature. This example of fire and smoke is very appropriate in this connection. When in winter time one takes a stone from the fire, sometimes smoke disturbs the eyes and other parts of the body, but still one must make use of the fire despite disturbing conditions. Similarly, one should not give up his natural occupation because there are some disturbing elements. Rather, one should be determined to serve the Supreme Lord by his occupational duty in Krishna consciousness. That is a perfectional point. When a particular type of occupation is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, all the defects in that particular occupations are purified. When the results of work are purified, when connected with devotional service, one becomes perfect in seeing the self within, and that is self-realization.
Okay, let's see some proper quotes on the subjects. Okay, read. Tapasya, qualities of the Brahmana.
Tapasya. So therefore, this Shamo Dhamma can be practiced provided you agree to execute tapasya. Therefore, in this Krishna consciousness movement, we are training these boys, anyone. It does not matter what he is. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling. This is tapasya. Those who are practiced to these bad habits, for them it will be very difficult, very difficult. One of our godbrother went to preach in London and Lord Zetland. He was talking with him and he said, Goswamiji, can you make me a Brahmana? So he said, yes, why not? You give up these four bad habits. And he said, it is impossible for us. He said clearly, it's impossible. This is our life. But at the present moment, these boys, hundreds and thousands of boys, they are giving up this practice. This is called tapasya.
Okay.
Brahmana, not construct big house. He simply constructs his character. So those who are after money, material things, we have to induce them that spend for me, that's all, and let him earn. So far we are concerned, we shall live very simple life, simply in Krishna consciousness. That is Brahmana. Brahmana does not go to construct big house. He simply constructs his character, and the other Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they offer him, please come here and sit down. Therefore, the division is one who is unable to become a Brahmana, let him become Kshatriya. If he cannot become Kshatriya, let him become a Vaishya. Otherwise, let him remain a Shudra. But there should be ideal class. So we are trying to create an ideal society of Brahmanas. Then people will be benefited.
So for Brahmana, what is very important? Character. Of course, as Vaishnavas, it definitely applies. Vaishnava is even above Brahmana, but character is very important. Okay, now this is regarding Kshatriyas. Pass.
Courage. Not that I sit down in my armchair and I give direction. The poor soldier are fighting. No, he should go. Courage. He should personally give direction. Do like this. Who is doing that? The Minister of Defense is very comfortably sitting on his chair and the poor soldier are fighting. That is not required. He must go first of all. Do like this, just like in Battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna is in front. The other side, Duryodhana. The real fighters, they are face to face. Soldiers are assistant. Where is that? So they should be trained up. So useless.
Unless.
So unless he is by his nature very powerful. Shauryam. Therefore, Kshatriyas are allowed to hunt to become hero. Facing the tiger, come on, and still say about 25 years ago, there was a native prince in Jaipur. Every year, he would go to the forest and face the tiger without any weapon. So that is required.
And Prabhupada adds that when the tiger would be killed, the tiger would be brought back in royal procession, because the tiger is also king of the jungle. So yes, that is Shauryam. So now there are no such Kshatriyas.
Make your society. Make your society everything according to the instructions of Gita. So as to maintain this body nicely, you must everything in order. The head brain must be in order. The hand arms must be in order. The belly must be digesting food and getting energy, and the leg also must walk. Similarly, Swe Karmanya Abhiratta, never mind, you are a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. If your aim is to keep the body in order, then either you become Brahmana, either you become Kshatriya or Shudra. Everything is in order. That is required. Unless these instructions are followed as given by Krishna. He comes yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati. He comes there, he leaves the instruction. If you take advantages of this instruction and make your society, family or government, everything according to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then everything is perfect.
Okay. So here, so this is how one can perfect one's life by working according to the influence of the modes. So one has the influence of the modes, one cannot give it up all of a sudden. So by the influence of the modes, one has one's swabhava, one's nature. And that nature has to be engaged in Krishna's service. That is how one gets purified of the influence of the modes. And therefore, Krishna is saying that everyone has a specific nature. And for that specific nature, there's a corresponding duty. Who has prescribed that? The Shastra has prescribed. Krishna has prescribed that duty. So if one follows that duty, one will get purified and make progress. So therefore, there is no need to compare with others. Therefore, Krishna is saying, Ashreyan swadharmo vigunaha. Better to perform one's own occupational duty, even though faultily, than to do somebody else's perfectly. Because if one tries to imitate somebody else, that is sinful. Correct? That's what he says, right? Swabhava niyatam karma kurvan napnoti kilbisham. Okay, if one performs one's own karma, there will not be sinful reaction. So therefore, whatever karma is assigned to one, one must simply follow that. Now, one may say all this may not be applicable in present-day modern situation for devotees. But even as Srila Prabhupada explains, in any society, in any community, these four types of people have to exist. Because whose creation is this? Krishna's creation, just like this body. The head has to be there, arms have to be there, belly has to be, legs have to be there. All of them are important for the smooth functioning of the body. But yet, amongst all parts of the body, head is most important. Because you may find somebody without a hand or without a leg, but can you find somebody without a head and still walking around? Not possible, right? So, therefore, the head is most important, but still all parts are important. So, similarly, in any society, all these four types of people will definitely exist. Of course, in the present day Kali Yuga, Kalau Shudra Sambhava, most people are Shudras. And finding people with, so Prabhupada says, Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are almost nil. Few Vaishyas, mostly Shudras. That is present day society. And therefore, Prabhupada says we are trying to, first of all, create a class of Brahmanas who will guide the rest of the society. But in any case, so even in a community of devotees, we will definitely find all these four categories of people. So we will definitely find some devotees who are more Brahmanical, some who have some Kshatriya skills, who have some managerial tendencies, and some have Vaishya tendencies, and some have Shudra tendencies. So you'll find this in any community. Now, where the problem comes when there is comparison. That is where the problem comes. Just like here, Arjuna. What Arjuna is thinking? Are, I have to fight this war, this ghastly war, that too with my family members. So what I'll become? Brahmana. So he wants to become Brahmana. He wants to sit in the forest and meditate. But later Krishna will tell him, it is not possible for you because that is your nature. Even if you go to forest, you will fight with someone there. Not possible because that's his nature. So better is what? Engage the nature in Krishna's service. But every duty has some fault. Just like fire always has smoke. Can't avoid. So just like here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining, Brahmanas, what is the fault in the Brahmanas occupation? Killing animals, sacrificing animals. Fault in Kshatriya's occupation? Diplomacy and killing enemies. And Vaishya, telling lies. Shudra, yes, serving an unqualified master. So in every occupation, there is some fault. So similarly, even if you take our Krishna conscious society, here also you will find. So sometimes we find this comparison amongst devotees. Oh, the pujari is so nice, always stay in the temple, be with the deities, have Mahaprasad, so nice. And we preachers, we have to go around, go this place, that place, break our heads, how to make these people devotees, so difficult. And what the pujaris will say? The pujaris will say, oh, we have to be in the temple all the time, take bath, do worship. See these preachers all the time roaming around different places, so nice. So you find these comparisons taking place. But then the fact is, every service has some fault. Can't avoid it. That's the nature of the material world. But what is important is, okay, whatever service has been allotted to one, be satisfied and do that service. So we have faith, okay, the authorities know this devotee has this nature, so therefore they have given this service. Be satisfied and do that service. Every service will have some faults. Don't try to do somebody else's service. That is the lesson. So therefore, whatever service has been given, of course, if one has some major difficulties, one can always go back to the authorities and say that this is not so suitable. Is it okay to change? So that is always possible. But at all times, one can try to be satisfied with whatever service has been allotted and try to do that to the best of one's ability. ठीक है? हाँ.
Roji, the karma and the guna that you were just discussing. So is it in some percentage it is there in the person, or he's a fully Brahmana, he's a fully Kshatriya, like that it is? Here also it is a mix, or it's a full percentage?
The mix is always going to be there. We already studied that. In the material world, nothing is pure. Correct? So when we say that a Brahmana is in Sattva Gun, what does it mean? Predominantly in Sattva. So even the Brahmanas can get influenced by Rajas and Tamas. So just like Brihaspati, right? He's a Brahmana. And then we find what happens, that Brihaspati and who? The wife of Chandra, right? Okay. So yeah, so then Brihaspati, I'm forgetting that past time. Ah. Ah. Okay. So in any case, so you find that sometimes even the Brahmanas get influenced by Rajas and Tamas. You find even in Daksha pastime, even the Daksha Yajna, then you find cursing, counter cursing happening. Brahmanas also get influenced by Rajas and Tamas, because they're not on Shuddha Sattva, right? So as long as it is not Shuddha Sattva, there's always possibility of influence of the other modes. So even though we say Brahmanas are in Sattva, it does not mean they're in Shuddha Sattva. The tendency to be influenced by lower modes is always there. So there can be all types of permutations, combinations can definitely be there. But what we have to see is what is predominant. That is what has to be seen. Of course, again, now another thing one has to understand is that this is what is the ideal situation as Vaishnavas. Now, is Vaishnava within the is a Vaishnava influenced by the modes? No, ideally Vaishnava is not influenced by the modes. The Vaishnava is on the transcendental platform. So therefore, on the transcendental platform, a Vaishnava, as we were just discussing, Vaishnava means his only business is one. What is that?
Pleasing Krishna.
Pleasing Krishna. Pleasing Krishna. That is only business. So if a Vaishnava is told to do the work of a Brahmana, he's ready to do that. If he's told to do work of Kshatriya, he's ready to. Whatever work he's told to do, a Vaishnava is ready to do. That is the meaning of Vaishnava. Vaishnava means what? Only one goal. Pleasure of Guru and Krishna. That's all. At the same time, because one is not yet on that platform, we all have our own natures. So therefore, we naturally become inclined to do a particular type of work, a particular type of service. That is natural. That is natural. So therefore, then the spiritual authorities say, okay, you have this particular nature, engage it in Krishna service. And that's how one gets purified of that nature. And then one can actually come to the transcendental platform. So therefore, sometimes within our society, especially in previous days, in the early times, then we find devotees doing all types of work. Correct? So we hear of Jayanand Prabhu. So Jayanand Prabhu is driving taxi. He would also regularly throw the trash, dustbin. That of work also he was doing. And he would also be the temple president. Yeah, and he would do pujari work also. So you find that Vaishnava is ready to do any service, whatever is told. That is Vaishnava. But still, because we have a particular nature, and if we are engaged according to nature, then we can perform that service more satisfactorily. So therefore, it's not wrong to express that desire. We can definitely express, and we can expect that the temple authorities will give that service according to that nature. That's good if one gets that. But at the same time, one must understand that every service will have some difficulties, some challenges will definitely be there. And therefore, there's no point in comparison. There's no point in comparing. Arey, wo seva better hai, ye seva. As Srila Prabhupada would often say, Pujari worshipping the deity and the devotee cleaning the temple. Both are same platform, no difference. So therefore, on our own, it is very difficult to understand. It may be difficult to understand. What is my nature? Many times we find devotees fail to understand. Okay, what is my nature? What will suit me? Very difficult to. So therefore, if one does not understand, be satisfied with whatever service is given. Try to do that. If there are challenges, go back to the authorities, clarify. That's all what can be done. Especially Kali Yuga, things are very difficult to identify. No one has purely, even predominantly, nobody has Brahmanical qualities or Kshatriya qualities. Very difficult. It's all a hodgepodge mix. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much appreciated when Ramanand Rai said, Sthane Sita Shrudigatam Tanuvan Manobi. Okay, so Sthane Sita, whatever you're doing, do. And Prabhupada, then to put it in practical terms, Prabhupada would say, if you're a lawyer, do the work of lawyer. If you're an engineer, be engineer, doctor, whatever, do. But at the same time, practice Krishna consciousness. Right? So therefore, you'll find all types of mixes, permutations, combinations, all types you'll find. So therefore, in our society also, you find all that. So you find somebody having doing Brahmanical work. At the same time, he's doing management also. He's distributing books also. What? So everything mix. That is what you practically find. Therefore, whatever service is given, do that, be satisfied. Okay?
Another.
Guruji,
Maya is convincing us that there is something new in this same enjoyment. So we sometimes become convinced that, okay, there is no enjoyment, some period. But again, Maya attacks and again we become we get illusion.
Correct. So that is why the sadhana has to go on. What is the counteracting agent for Maya? Mamevai prapadyante mayametam tarintite. So therefore, we have to continue our surrendering process. That is what we have to continue. And that is how we'll get more and more realization of these truths. So with theory, everyone knows, but that realization does not come. That realization is given by Krishna when we steadily practice devotional service. Okay, we'll just take one more. We're already crossed time.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, Lord also says that in the Bhagavad Gita that Nachatasmat Manusheshu Kaschit Etati Me Priya. That the person who is sharing my knowledge, he is the most dear to me. Although on the transcendental platform, all the services are like on the equal level.
Yes.
Prabhupada also would ask for the reports of book distribution. I mean, he will not much give attention to or not ask the reports regarding whether the temple has been cleaned in the time or.
Okay, fine.
How can we understand that?
So, this is a question which is quite often asked. Simple answer is, can the preachers go out and preach if there is no prasadam cooked? What will the preachers show if there are no deities?
So
everything is related. So therefore, in our movement, everyone is part of the preaching program. So just like in the army, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan army. So in the army, there are some people who are soldiers right in front, but there's a whole backup team. So you see this whole cantonment area. This whole cantonment area is backup team there. So there are so many facilities there. So similarly here also. So there are some devotees who are on the front, they're preaching on the field, but then they require the whole backup team. Prasadam, deities, taking care of the devotees, everything is required. So it's all part of the preaching effort. So therefore, everyone gets the same benefit. It's not that only those who are in front get the benefit. Everyone gets the benefit. They're all part of the preaching program.
So everyone will get the same.
Yes, definitely. Everyone gets the same benefit as long as they're sincerely performing their service. So, and as far as Srila Prabhupada asking only for book distributions course and all that, definitely that's like a priority which is important. But Srila Prabhupada gave equal importance to the cleanliness of the temple. He gave equal importance to the deity worship. Everything Prabhupada would see. We can tell so many pastimes regarding those other things also. Prabhupada would see everything. because everything is related. ठीक है?
One more
Hmm.
if time permits. Guruji, the nature that you told about the devotee on the transcendental platform, he serves for the pleasure of the master. Similarly, the person at the Shudra level, he also work for the master. So, can you a little bit highlight on differences? Of course, there is one difference that one master may be different in both the cases. But if the master is same, then that act is the same.
See, ultimate master for everyone is Krishna, but we all have our masters, no, whom we are serving. We don't serve Krishna directly. Anyone serves Krishna directly? No, no one serves Krishna directly. So everyone is serving under someone, na? So the Shudra is serving his master. So in the Vedic society, there would be Shudras. Whom are the Shudras serving?
Vaishyas.
Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas. All the three Varnas they are serving. The Shudras are serving all of them. So they have their respective masters. And so ultimately everyone has to serve the Supreme Lord. Ultimately everyone has to offer the fruits of their results to the Supreme Lord. ठीक है ना? श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow we have to complete the rest of the chapter at any cost. So please be prepared for a little overtime.
What is the from feeling? I mean, after the karma yoga is up to Brahma realization or maybe after karma?
See, that is yoga ladder. Yoga ladder मतलब क्या है? Ladder पर कहीं अटक जाएगा तो वहीं अटक जाएगा. अगर अटक जाएगा कहीं तो फिर वो कर्म